Okay, so this is going to be chapter 2 of the textbook, and this one deals with the internet. We're going to discuss some of the things we kind of discussed in chapter 1. We kind of breezed over them. We're going to get a little bit deeper into the weeds on these kind of on this chapter. We'll discuss the internet as a whole, the World Wide Web, um, some of the things you do on the internet, browsing, searching, using applications on the internet, and other things. So getting into this, get the slideshow going. Whoops. There we go. It says the internet is a worldwide collection of networks that connects millions of businesses, government agencies, education, educational institutions, and individuals. The internet is a network of networks. So, like all the networks, even maybe your home personal network at home, uh, JCC's network at school, your employer's network. All of these networks are connected to the internet. So and the internet itself is a network. So it's a network of networks, and it's just the mother of all networks. For the best description, it was started off in the late '60s. Uh, what they were looking for is a means of moving information from one place to another. It had two goals. It says allow scientists at different physical locations to share information and work together. And then it's like to function. It says over here to function even if part of the network were disabled or destroyed. So if something were to happen to one of the main arteries of the internet, just maybe some natural disaster or war or something like that. If something were to take out part of the infrastructure of the internet, it could continue because it has multiple routes to get information from one place to another. So that's really one of the more important parts of why they were coming up with this to function even if part of the network were disabled or destroyed. Um, ARPANET becomes functional. This is the first version of the internet. Mostly it was on military um, campuses or even college campuses. In 1984, ARPANET has more than a thousand individuals' computers linked as hosts. And again, this is like I said, it's connecting military and colleges together. And in starting off in the late '90s, mid to late '90s actually, with things like AOL and other things, um, the internet was actually pushed to the masses. People at home started connecting to the internet. There are different kinds of ways to connect to the internet. You can use wired or wireless. It says with wired connections, a computer device is physically attaches via a cable or wire to a communications device. So this is probably maybe one of the ways you're connecting to it at home. You may have a computer that's actually wired to your router at home, or you may have a wireless router, and it doesn't have the physical wire, but it actually has a wireless connection that allows you to connect to your router at home that pulls your network together. So like here's a couple of examples. Here's your modem at home. So your computer at home is connected to your modem, and this is like a one device setup. So you have your modem that's connected to your computer. Probably what you have your at home is this modem may be a two function device, so it may be a modem slash router, or the modem may connect to a router that allows you to connect multiple devices, either wired or wirelessly, to your network. So, and this is probably what most of you all have because we're getting to the point where we have multiple devices in our house that are connected to our network. It's no longer just a computer that's connected to our network. Now everything is getting connected to our network. The TVs, video games, iPads, phones, all kinds of devices. It's like many devices. I mean, think about Alexa, how that thing is going. Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of these things that are now connected that are connecting your home to the internet. So a lot of these are being connected wirelessly. Um, you don't even have a landline or not a landline, but a physical line that actually connects your computer to the network. A hotspot, you see a lot of these if you go into a coffee shop or a McDonald's or something like that. It's just a place where you can connect to the internet on their network. Now you kind of have to be careful about these places because you're connecting to an open network. So uh, it's a little bit easier. No, not even a little bit. It's much easier to get for your computer to get maybe some sort of a virus attack or something like that, or somebody be able to snoop around on your computer when you're connected to one of these things, because the security is a lot less. Just because really it's just an open network. Because it has to be open for you to go in there. Now, quite often, what will happen, maybe if you go in like a copy, and this is always like this story. Coffee shop near me. That I go to, it used to be a completely open network. I mean, you used to go in there and sit down, you boot up your computer, and you would see the network for that coffee shop, and you could just hit connect, and you would connect immediately. Uh, Funny story is, like, I went in there one day in October and connected to this network, and or tried to connect to it, and it turned out that they had put a password on it. So I go up and I asked the person behind the counter what the password is for that network. Of course, he gave it to me, but thinking on it, it really wouldn't have been that hard to guess, because, like I said, I was in a coffee shop in October. The password turned out to be pumpkin spice. So even these things, even when they do have like a password, they're still pretty open, and like the chances of that password being changed tomorrow were probably slim. They were probably going to keep pumpkin spice as their password for quite a while. So you have to be careful about these things. Okay, internet service provider is how you connect to the internet. So you would call up like, in this area it's Spectrum or AT&T. I think there's Windstream out in Bullitt County. You would call them up and say, hey, I want to get a connection to the internet. You negotiate speeds and stuff like that. So either Spectrum or Windstream or AT&T, they become your ISP, or your internet service provider, and they provide you a connection to the to the internet, and they probably offer you some sort of bandwidth. Maybe 10 megabits per second or 30 gigabits per second. I mean, you got a lot of options when it comes to this. So this is the way a connection works on the internet. So like this one, we're trying to get to eBay. So you're in your house and you go search for eBay, and so you type in ebay.com. That signal goes out to your wire. It goes on the wire, hits your modem. Your modem and your router are going to be able to determine that eBay is not on your local network, so it's going to have to go outside of your local network. So it's going to route through your ISP. So one way or another, it's going to get through your ISP, and your ISP is going to determine that eBay is not on their network, and so it's going to put it out on the internet itself, and it's going to go out and find out where eBay is. Finally, hit their servers. Their servers are going to recognize that you have received a request. They've received a request for you for their site, and it's going to send this information right back to where it came from, and that's when the site will open up on your side. So it's a big long path to get there, but it happens amazingly quick anymore. Whoops. There is so like every computer on the internet has an IP address. Now, a lot of them are like different kinds of IP addresses, because you may have a different IP address on your side of your network, but every computer is going to have a unique IP address. So like an IP address is a sequence of number that uniquely identifies each computer or device connected to the internet. And like I said, this gets a little weird because it's not necessarily each computer has its own unique address. It's like your network is going to have a unique address, and then your router actually divvies up IP addresses to computers on your side of your network. If you come to class, I explain this a little bit more in detail. Domain name is a text-based name that it corresponds to an IP address. So like if you want to go to like google.com, you just need to know google.com. You don't need to know that google.com has an IP address. It says a DNS server translates the domain name into its associated IP address. So like if you were going to Google, and I'll show you this in just a second, like how you would get the IP address for Google, and you don't need to know Google's IP address. You just need to know Google's name. So google.com will get you to Google, but it's a DNS or domain name service that goes out and says, okay, Google's real IP address is this, and then that's what gets you to Google's website. These are some of the TLDs. These are some of the extensions that that are out on the internet. You're used to .com, Google.com, eBay.com, CNN.com, but there are other ones like KCTCS is an edu, so it's kctcs.edu because it's an educational institution. .gov is for government. .mil is for military. Net is network providers and commercial companies, and .org are generally for nonprofits. There are a lot more of these than these 6. There's a lot more. Different countries are having their own TLDs. So like sometimes you'll see something.eu, which stands for European Union. So there's a whole bunch more of them that are out there than just these 6. Okay, so getting back to the way that a domain name service works. I just kind of give you an example of it. So this is just a command prompt, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping Google, and ping is just it's a network. A networking application, and what it does is it just goes out and hits something, hits a computer, or hits a network, or hits something and says, "Are you there?" And it will reply back, "Yes, I am there." So what we're going to do is we're going to ping Google. So I'm going to go up here and just type ping www.google.com. So I'm going to do is just ping Google, and just to say, hey, and you're just going to see I'm going to get a reply back from Google 4 times with an IP address. So I just hit enter, and you see it replies back, reply from 172.217.9.36. And so this is actually Google's IP address. In the book it says something different. There's like different servers hit different servers supply different geographical regions, or maybe because of bandwidth issues, your request may be moved to one server than another. I know the book, you see the book lists 74, 125, 224.72. There are different servers that are hitting. So, but we've got this one, 172.217.196.36. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this up just so I can see the IP address. And I'm going to bring up a web page, and just to show you that this works, I'm going to type in 172.217.9.36. Now I'm not typing in google.com, I'm just typing in the IP address that I got from when I pinged, past tense of ping Google. So if I enter this, it takes me straight to Google's website. So this is an example of the way domain name servers work. It would be impossible. Think about where we are today. Think of how many phone numbers you actually know today, just because of smartphones and stuff like that. Any older people that are out there, remember that there was a day we actually had to remember people's phone numbers. We don't have to do that now. Now we have a smartphone, and we can click a name, and it knows the phone number. So this is kind of the way that a domain name server works. The only thing we have to know is we want to go to google.com. When we put this request in, this request goes to a domain name server, and the domain name server says, hey, we go there and say, do you have a listing for google.com? It replies back, yes, we do. The IP address you need to hit is 172.217.9.36. So rather than having to type that number in, we can just type google.com. The domain name server will supply the IP address, and then we can go there that way. So it's a lot easier than trying to remember phone numbers. But that's the way a domain name server works. Alright, talking about the World Wide Web. And it's easy to get confused because we mostly deal with the World Wide Web when we deal with the internet. But just remember that the World Wide Web is actually something that travels on the internet. The internet, I've always said this, the internet is like our highway system, and the World Wide Web are are cars moving on that highway system. I mean, this is just us getting from one place to another. But there's a lot of other stuff there's a lot of other traffic that goes on the internet that is not related to the World Wide Web. I mean, file transfers being moved from one place to another, money being moved from one place to another, information being moved from one place to another. All these are traveling on the internet. They may not necessarily be traveling through the web, but they're traveling on the internet. The World Wide Web is just the way that we're used to seeing the internet. We can use a browser to get from one place to another using the World Wide Web. And the web hosts websites. Their websites are a collection of web pages. So like again, if I'm going to go to like CNN.com, I'm now going to their website, and on their website you'll see that there's a whole lot of different web pages that I can hit on this website. There's like, you know, U.S., world, politics, business. And if I click here, so you see right now I'm on CNN.com, I'm just going to click on entertainment. And so now you see that I've gone to the entertainment page of CNN.com's website. So I'm now on the internet page of CNN.com's website. So the website holds many different pages. Now a server supplies all of this information. So a web server is a computer that delivers requested web pages to your computer. A browser is what we use to travel around on the World Wide Web. Like I said, I've said this before. Like Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome are the big one. I always kind of suggest that we use Google Chrome for this class. But the browser is kind of our way of viewing the World Wide Web. Again, this is a description of the web pages. So sort of like earlier where I was like on CNN.com entertainment, it breaks it off into like different pages on their website. A web app is an application stored on a web server that you can access through a browser. Web apps usually provide storage for users' data and information on their servers, known as cloud storage. So this is an example of OneDrive. On OneDrive you can store data, you can view data, and it's a cool application, or a cool web application, because you can get your files anywhere. These are not stored on your computer; these are actually stored on a server somewhere on the web, and we can get to them from anywhere. So web storage is kind of a big thing. A web search engine is software that finds websites, web pages, image, videos, news, apps, maps, and other information related to a specific topic. A subject directory classifies web pages in an organized set of categories, such as sports, shopping, related subcategories. There are, like Google, for example. Google used these little devices, these little software devices called bots. I'm sorry, they call them spiders. And of course it's spiders because they're out on the web. And what they released these little software bots, and they went out and they searched the internet, and they would go to different websites, and they would find information about the websites, and they would send this information back to Google, and Google could organize a database, and that's what we hit when we go to Google and we do a search. So if we're looking for searches on cars, we can go to Google, and we're going to hit their database on anything that their searches have found for cars, and that's what supplies us with that information. Now, there are different things that you can do. There's different search applications different things you can put in your search. So, like, here's an example: exclude a word from search results. So, like, again, let's suppose I was keeping up with our car searches. Let's suppose I was searching for Mustangs. Well, Mustangs are a car, but they're also a horse. But I'm only interested in the car. So what I could do is I could do a search on Google, say Mustangs minus horses. And that way it shouldn't show me any results that deal with horses. They should hopefully be dealing with cars. Web publishing is the creation and maintenance of websites. So if this is something you want to get into, this is some of the things that you do: plan the website, design the website, create the website, host the website, and maintain the website. These are things that web hosting companies do. Digital media on the internet. This is a terrible thing. Animation is the appearance and motion of. So watch this fancy animation that happens here. By creating a displaying a series of still images in sequence, you almost can't tell this ball is moving, can you? But I mean, that is what an animation does. Audio. You can go on websites to play music. We all know that. Virtual reality. This is something that's coming into play, and this is coming into play a lot of different ways. I've gone to, like, I want to book a hotel room or something like that. I can do a virtual tour of the hotel. Real estate companies are getting into this because they let people do a virtual tour of a real estate listing. So people can look at the house before they actually come out to the house, so they can see what it looks like before they go there. Plug-in or add-on is a program that extends the capability of the browser. This might be something like Adobe Reader. So Adobe Reader, it's like sometimes you may need to download a form, and you can click on a link, and it will have this file open up with a .pdf extension. So it's some sort of document.pdf. And this is just a form. So Adobe Reader is a plugin. Java is a plugin. There's a few other ones that are out there. I was trying to think of another one, but Java's a big add-in that's out there. Flash is another one that's out there. And they let the browser do things like maybe they allow you to show virtual reality or videos or stuff like that. Emails are transmissions of messages, so we all know how the email works. This is a graphical representation of it. We send an email. It goes through like a outbound server, eventually hits an inbound server on the other side, and the email will just wait in their mailbox until they log in to look at their email, and then it will get downloaded to their computer or device. So that's the way an email works. Instant messaging. We've seen this work. It's sort of like chat. At work, we use something called Skype for Business, and it has its own IM thing. So it's sort of like texting on the network. We're not using phones. We're actually using the computer. A chat room. Sometimes you'll see, like, I had to deal with this the other day. I ordered something on Amazon. I ordered, like, actually virus software, and I didn't get the key. So I ended up contacting Amazon because I didn't get the key, and I was on chat with them, and they gave me the key that I needed for my software. So I was actually talking with a real person there. Well, wherever he's at, I have no idea. But he was able to help me with this problem, and he helped me really quick. I mean, it's like I didn't have to wait any time at all to actually get what I needed. Online discussion. These used to be the rage. You don't see them that much anymore, but like there's always interest. I mean, again, getting with Mustangs. I mean, there's a lot of people that are obsessed with Mustangs, and they want all things Mustang. So an online discussion is like if other people with interest in Mustangs can get together, and they can all talk about Mustangs and things that are related to Mustangs and how to fix their cars and stuff like that. So this is like an online discussion board. Voice over IP, or VoIP. Voice over IP is if you're using, here's an example. If you're on, I know like Spectrum offers phone lines. In the day, we used to have a line that came into our house for phone, and we had a line that came into our house for internet. Now that one line is being used for a lot of things. I use Spectrum, so I have a cable line that comes into my house. That cable line is providing TVs. It's providing internet. I don't use their phone, but I could also get their phone service, and it's all going over the same line. So voice over IP is, instead of your voice being traveled using a phone line, now it's using the same line as your internet, and it's your voice is traveling over IP, over the internet protocol, or IP, or the internet, rather than traveling over a phone network. So it's just a different way of moving information. Before it was now we're moving voice information over the lines, not files or anything like that. We're actually moving a voice. File transfer protocol is where we download. It's the way we're downloading files from one place to another. So if you like for this class, if you wanted to download Office, it's probably being downloaded via FTP. That's the way the file is moving from a server to your computer. Netiquette just talks about the way to be nice on the internet. Don't use all caps. Don't cuss people out and all that kind of stuff. And that was chapter 2. So let me get this video published and I will be talking to you more.